Back in the dawn of time, a strange traveler came from outer space and plunged beneath the sea. Through the centuries, countless ships have disappeared without trace in the Bermuda Triangle. Yet there are men who still dare to probe the mysteries of these dangerous waters. The discovery of a fantastic hidden metropolis under the ocean leads to spectacular action and thrilling adventure in Warlords of Atlantis.
Where are you taking us?
To safety.
Starring Doug McClure, Peter Gilmore, with guest stars Sid Charisse and Daniel Massey.
We'll not find it on any map, but you know its name.
Atlantis.
They defy an underwater world of tyranny and terror.
From our dying planet, we journeyed across space. We brought our cities, our power and ambition. We are a master race.
Can you help us get out of here?
We're damned, mister. There's no escape.
Let your mind join with us in the greatness of our quest. Serving the power of Atlantis. The power of Atlantis. Atlantis.
Doug McClure and Peter Gilmore join forces to survive a living hell below, monster terror above.
Hello and welcome to another episode of It Could Have Been a Classic. And yes, we're digging around in the vaults of crap and rubbish and things that we don't want to admit that we've watched, but we have a secret liking for. Or something that had that glimmer of potential. Yeah, something that could have crossed the line if only it had gone, how do you say it, another way. Could this be a classic? Could it have been bigger and better? Or does it have the cult status? We're going to go on this journey of this film, only the classic of what this could have been. Warlords of Atlantis, 1978, directed by Kevin Connor, starring Jane Rimmer from UFO and multiple Bond movies as cameo parts. Sid Charisse with the legs. Daniel Massey and the legend himself, the king of all monster killers, the original, the first, the one and only Doug McClure, the legend that is the man. He got his shirt ripped more times than Captain Kirk. You know, he starred in The Land That Time Forgot, Return to the Land That Time Forgot, Journey to the Centre Earth with the legend Peter Cushing, all classics. Saw them all as cinema as a kid. And, of course, Warlords of Atlantis. Right, so this is where we start. It's financed by American money, but it's very British. Now, Kevin, I think it's, I forgot I will go to the guy's name. Now, the screenplay was written by Brian Hales, who did Doctor Who stories. So they've said a lot about this film and its idiosyncrasies to being a British adventure. This film is definitely a British Victorian heroic adventure. And I'm just checking if I'm recording this video. Yes, I am recording. So let's get started. In 1978, I went to see Superman. My dad took me to see Superman at the ABC in Leeds. and we couldn't get in. They were queuing around the block for Superman. But at ABC3, the more smaller cinema, which hardly anybody went in, was Warlords of Atlantis. Now, this film has everything. Aliens, monsters, Victorian scientists, guns, sexy chicks, and monsters. And, of course, Doug McClure. So, right, let's start. Right, you've got Peter Gilmore from the Oneida line, if anybody remembers that, the Oneida line. We have Daniel Massey as the Traxim, the head of the elite Atlanteans. Sid Charisse just walking around showing her legs off with a wig that's just been done up from UFO. And an amazing, fantastic, cheesy, but cool story. Right then, so we start off. It starts off thousands or millions of years ago of this big asteroid careening through space, and it crashes into the Earth. Looking out of a cave is cave people, sees big ball of fire, it crashes into the ocean. Now, there's plot holes galore in this and also scientific errors, but we won't go into this. This film is what it is. You can't change that. So anyway, we jump to the future and we're on the Texas Rose floating around in the Atlantic Ocean. You've got Peter Gilmore's Atkins, a scientist, and his father looking for Atlantis, but they've not told the crew. Doug McClure, the legend himself, king of the monster killers, has created a diving bell, and they're going to go underwater. They think they haven't told them the truth of what Atkins and his father are looking for. They're looking for Atlantis, right? So what happens is they get the diving bell. The captain's really worried. Shane Rimmer, the captain's really worried that they're in dodgy waters. Lots of ships have disappeared, right? So they end up putting... they put the diving bell in water and it goes underwater, and the crew's there. They're all a bit nervous. I assume it could be like a Bermuda Triangle type of area. So what happens is, it's like they're underwater at diving bell, looking around, and Doug McClure sees something, or Peter Gilmore out of the window, Atkins sees something, and then next minute, as this big monster head comes into diving bell, growling away, right? And they're all looking around. I mean, I just bust out laughing last night. I did jump a bit, actually, because I forgot about that scene where the monster comes into the diving bell because they don't have a bottom. They're working it like a cup. You know when you put a cup in the bath or a pan and the air keeps the water out? This is how this diving bell works. But on the trivia facts, apparently it don't work like this because they got that wrong. But we won't go there, right? So it starts swimming around the diving bell and it starts ramming the diving bell. And Peter, like Atkins, Peter Gilmore's character, he's like, oh, wow, it's one of these monsters from like hundreds of thousands of years ago. They're meant to be extinct. And it sticks its head in again, and then it does it again. It keeps sticking its head in. And Doug McClure comes to the point, as you can see in the background, he electrocutes it, like with wires. I mean, you know, they just do it, right? They do it, right? I mean, this thing's about 100 foot long or whatever, right? So it sinks down to the bottom of the ocean. And in the distance near this cave entrance, there's a statue. And the diving bell goes up to the statue. They put the diving bell over the statue, and the head of the statue comes in. And it's the entrance to Atlantis. So they tell the crew upstairs, and they bring the statue on board. This statue is massive, so how they got it up there is beyond me, but they did, right? And the crew start getting greedy because it's solid gold, and they start kicking off with Captain. Do you realise what all this is? They're going to start like getting greedy and wanting their share of it. And the other scientist, Atkins' father, he's going, no, it's for scientific research. Yeah, I'm in charge of expedition, you're in charge of ship. But the crew start suddenly plotting and scheming, and they cover the phone up, and they're ringing from underneath, and they cut the lifeline to the diving bell and leave it underwater. And they've only got so much air left. But then they look out the window, and there it is. It's called the Sentinel, one big giant octopus or squid, goes up to the ship and it attacks the ship, gets all the crew and brings them all down, right? And it gets the diving bell and it takes them through the cave entrance. Now, there's the older scientist and his young assistant, they're still on the ship because he got shot. And he's screaming out, it's Warlords of Atlantis, Warlords of Atlantis. So let's forget that now. So we go down into this city of Atlantis, right? And we they wake up on this like beach of rocks and that, and they're all there. And Doug McClaw swims out at diving bell with other fella, and like they're going where they are. And up in the background, this guy stood there dressed in like ancient gear, all very well dressed and a wig on from UFO, right? And he goes, "My name's Traxian or whatever." And he says, "Welcome to the 7 cities of Atlantis." And out of water come the Guardians, these like humans, but with metal faces. They've got these really cool helmets on and these like spears at back of them. So they all go marching off through like this like other underworld under sea. And it's amazing because they've matted out the background, like the rock features and everything. It's really good. And out comes out of the water is a classic monster. You know, it's just Doug McClaw all over it. It's a monster. And it's there. And they all like stand still and it goes back under water. And they get to this city, like 2 cities are destroyed. They get to this 3rd one. And it's full of human beings. But the Atlantean wants Aikens. He says, "You're coming with us, and your other lot are going to get locked up too. Because to live in this place, after 2 days, you die. You got to have an operation here so you can equate the atmosphere, you know, like sort of get with the atmosphere." And what happens is, either take him away and they lock this lot. They all, after punch up, they get locked in a cell together because they don't know about the mutiny that was going on upstairs. So, on the boat. So anyway, they're all studying it. Anyway, they're like, suddenly alarm bells gone. Monsters are attacking. You got these big monsters coming along. Climb up this city wall. And they've got cannons, right? Cannons, they're blowing the shit out of them and they're still coming. They're throwing rocks down. They're throwing rocks down at top of it and sticks, yeah. Monsters about 100 foot big, yeah, it's going to bother it. And cannon explosions are like miniature nukes going off. I mean, some of these things do sort of die like. So anyway, they're trapped. Anyway, monsters paw comes through, and they all come through at one. They get out of the cell, and they start looking for Atkins, and they meet this woman Delphine. And Doug, obviously, there's an attraction between her and Doug McClaw. She has a big cleavage, and I'm not being like I'm just going back. It's a Doug McClaw movie, and she's lovely. But there's this like they fancy each other, and they meet her father, and he was the captain of the Mary Celeste. And they've been there 20 years. They're like slaves. And they can't return to the surface world. So anyway, they escape and they start fighting their way through like this city to get to where Atlantean, the elite live, right? So anyway, Peter Gilmore from the Oneida line, right, is they take him off up to like the city of pleasure. And there's a load of Atlanteans up there, you know, with wigs on and legs and all they're all beautiful. And they're all just sat on their ass, like dancing and laying around in water and levitating and laughing and giggling. And he's going, "What is this? This is our hall of contemplation and pleasure." And he's going, "Wow." And she's going, "You could be part of all this." So they get up to, they take him out of there. And he's going, "But you're all floating." She said, "You can do that, but you haven't unleashed the full power of your mind. We've unleashed the 100% of our minds, you know, with that like mentally beyond you." Right, I'm sat here thinking when I was watching this last night, well, if you're so advanced, why are you using cannons and having monsters destroying your cities? Right, so there's that. Right, I mean, this is questions you've got to keep on to film because you start going, "Oh, come on," right? So anyway, they take him up to meet the leader of the High Council, the elite Atlantean, and it's Daniel. I know it's not Daniel, man. It's another British, one of them theatre actors. So he comes out in robes and wig and beard, you know, looking like the wise alien, you know. And she says, Atkins is a very powerful name. It's a very intelligent name. He's going, oh, thank you. And they're going on about society. He said, what about my friends? She said, they will be conditioned and they will live down in the shitty city at the bottom, where fighting the monsters to keep us lot sat up here on our asses contemplating the universe, right? And he turns it, he does Peter Gilmore, Atkins comes out with his classic line, he says, well, that's not very democratic, is it? You know. So anyway, they're all like down there, right? They're all like down there fighting away, and they're all these people, they're all dying because these big monsters are coming. Meanwhile, up in like the top city with this lot sat on their asses all day long, contemplating and floating about. They said, look, you know, your mind, Atkins, has great potential. You know, we want you to open your mind and give you the power of what you can do. So they stick this helmet on his head. But meanwhile, Doug McClaw's fighting his way up to say, you know, it's Doug McClaw, just beats everybody on his ripped shirt, right? And they get up there. Anyway, they found out apparently what they're going to do is drain his mind, right, through this helmet. It's like this psychic helmet, right? And it's not Cerebro off the X-Men either. So they've got this like helmet's crystal, and they put it on his head, right? And they sort of like sat there thinking like he says, leave me, because it starts glowing, it's downloading all this stuff in his head. And she's like, Sid Charisse, like, she's going, what the pathways of time, Atkins? And he starts seeing the future and where they come from, the past to the future, which is great, because he stood there with his helmet on. And you get the full effects around him, which is really good. And they're going on about creating like the Nazi state, because they need to create this war so mankind can harness the atom, because they want the power of the atom to escape Earth. Because he says to them, why don't you live here and like breathe our atmosphere? They go, we don't want to live here. It's amongst the stars where we're meant to be going, you know, because they brought the entire culture from Mars, all the cities. But I mean, did they bring out monsters as well? Because it's out of control in this place. So anyway, puts this on and he's downloading, he sees like man going at moon and atomic bomb going off and nuclear energy and people and jet planes and he can't believe what he's seeing, you know. And Doug McClaw turns up with rest of them. They sort of like find him and he comes in and he tears the helmet off. He's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he smashes the helmet and like the two Atlanteans stand there, do nothing. Say, you know, what do you think? Where do you think you're going to go? He says, we're getting out of here. So, like, Atkins is going, no, what have you done? And Doug McClaw gives him a Doug McClaw punch and knocks him out, and they escape. And the rest of the film is like the Atlanteans wanting Atkins because they want the power of his mind, right? Chasing them all through to get back to Diving Bell, right? They don't care about the others. They just want Atkins, right? So they get to Diving Bell, and one of the Atlanteans is using telekinesis on water, blowing water up, and they're swimming through it. And Doug McClaw's love interest and her father, they're left there. Have all got like Winchester rifles, right? And they're shooting away. And they get away in the diving bell because they can't obviously come back with us. And I'm thinking, what about that poor woman and her dad and other people that helps them? Because the Atlanteans are going to like get rid of them after this, you know. So they escape. But what's hilarious, when they're escaping, right, there's like flying cannibal fish. I'm no shit, right? There's flying cannibal fish. The big monster coming out of the ground. Doug McClaw taking it out, him and Winchester on throat, shooting it in throat, and it sort of goes back underwater. And the Guardians after him, you know. And it's action-packed. I mean, this film is moving along as cheesy as it is. It's moving like that. And they escape. And they get back up to Texas Rose. And, you know, they think suddenly it all starts again over at Gold Statue. Because Doug McClaw finds out it was them that cut the diving bell because they wanted this gold statue. But meanwhile, the Sentinel, the big octopus, is on its way back up. And starts attacking the ship and gets the gold statue and uses it as a hammer. And wrecks the ship. And the cabin boy, the scientist's father and sister, they get him. and they get him out, and a lifeboat, he's praying to God, right? And this lifeboat drops on the ocean. They all jump in it. And most of the crew, Shane Rimmer's character, captain, they all die, right? Boat gets sucked under water. And they get away in a lifeboat at the end, and the two guys, they're hanging on and saying, look, we're sorry we didn't mean to turn on you. And that's it. Just finishes where they left in ocean. And that's Warlords of Atlantis. Right, now let's go into this, right? Firstly, the Martians, right? I was just in stitches over at Martians because they just sat on their ass waiting for us to create their power source to get them off our planet. Create it yourselves. You're meant to be so mind advanced, and your whole society's falling apart with mutants and that. So, but what was good about this is that they've been controlling human destiny for the last several 100,000 years through mind, pushing the human race in a certain way to get us to a certain point to help them. Which this is where you come into conspiracy. They're like a secret Illuminati, But I mean, really, they need to sort their own house out. I mean, it's falling apart because apparently this world they're in is part of Mars. It's like they lifted a chunk of Mars off and flew off to space. And then they got hit by a comet, and Earth's gravitational pull pulled them in. I mean, they didn't get very far from Mars, did they? I mean, this lot, they're meant to be superior. And they're not exactly, how do you say, on top of the situation. They just pose about all day, but I suppose you do. And so, it's like there's a lot going on in this film. I mean, obviously, Doug McClure is a classic actor. He's one of my all-time favourites. This Doug McClure, he's just a great actor, and he's sadly missed, and I love his movies. But when he's the dinosaur, well, the monster killer, Doug McClure is at his best. He's the all-out action hero, straight to the point. He gets the lady. He beats the monsters and defeats the body. But this is a weird one because nobody wins in this. They get away. They're left in ocean end. And people are left behind. So there is some kind of dark element in this film. And also, they've got these Atlanteans sort of not controlling human race, but guiding its destiny to a certain point, which is sort of interesting. And there is numerous things you could pick up on this film where you could have gone off into other directions with it. I really do think you could bring this back and do something amazing with it today. There is so much potential in this story. Warlords of Atlantis is for me, it's going to get the time, is a classic film. Now, out of The Land That Time Forgot and all the other Doug McClure Journey to Center Earth and all the other monster films he did, this one wasn't sort of recognised as the others. But I was a big fan. I think this to me is one of my favourite movies. In the Doug McClure collection. I bought the Doug McClure collection years ago. And it's awesome. I think this is better than Journey to Center Earth with Peter Cushing, but I'll probably get shot down for saying that. But everything is in this film. Victorian scientists, aliens, monsters, the dark, sinister story in the background, the control of the human race, all these elements put into this crazy film. And it works. It works beautifully. And it never lets up for a minute. But I think where they lost this film is that the story had so much potential that they should have expanded on more of this canon and story. And I think it would have done so much better. The acting cast in this is exemplary. You've got Sid Charisse, Shane Rimmer, Daniel Massey. And there's other actors. There's a lot of big actors in this. The woman Delphine was going to be the love interest for Doug McClure. She ended up in a couple of movies, and then she became a healer in Surrey somewhere. So she became one of them spiritual healers or something. So that was interesting because I looked her up on Wikipedia and didn't find that much. So Warlords, even the name Warlords of Atlantis. Now, it was called something else. They gave it 3 name changes. And they were worried that it was going to be put in, remember Atlantis, the Lost Continent? So they changed the name it was something like that, and then they changed it. And then Man from Atlantis had flopped, and they didn't want the name to associate with that. So that's why they call it Warlords of Atlantis. But I thought, what a great name. And this is written by the screenplay put together by somebody who'd written Doctor Who. I mean, this if you're into like British films, this is it. This is the British idiosyncrasies of movies. It's all in here. This is what gives this film its identity. This is where we're different to what they make in America. Like with our films, we always have this little touch. What you can tell with certain English films, it's in there, and this is it. But is this a classic? Yes, definitely. And it could have been so much more. You know, it really could. It's got all the elements you want in it. There is flaws, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, it's there. It's got the little golden ticket written underneath, that little diamond that just pushes it over the fence. Could it have been a classic? Yes. So that's my review of Warlords of Atlantis. I love this film. It's on YouTube in 48 parts. Just press part 1. It plays right through. It's great. I love watching this last night. So that's my review. And this is, I will be giving the award. Definitely a classic. Let me know your thoughts on this, guys. You know, let me know your thoughts and let me know what you think. And if you watch this film, please let me know. And I will see you soon. Also, guys, the next live show will not be this Sunday, but the Sunday after. I've been away seeing my family and friends for a week, and it is bank holiday, so I've not had time. But definitely the live shows will be resuming, not this weekend, but the weekend after. So, guys, stay safe, and I will see you soon.